if there is a bus that stops, people may want to go into the, I shouldn't say the bus stop, but if there's an accident, you need to use the alternate access to get up either up or down to the Highway 130 to railroad. So I think that's still something we should be looking at. But right now, I would say that less stress, making sure that Makulu is the primary alternate route, and we plan to have the signage to make sure that that is communicated very well.
I think that one of the concerns that is expressed in these questions about this is not just the question of access, but we all know that in the real world, people don't always pay attention to signs. People don't always, do indicators. This is where we want to work with you to try to come up with as many ideas as we can, and we need to discuss this some more and try to develop some better ideas to try to keep it focused but still have access. In a perfect world, we would be able to have access and focus of the traffic and keep it where we want it to be. And this is one of the trickiest things that remain to be worked out. I wish I had an answer here. I wish that Warren had an answer for all of these questions about that, but it's an ongoing process.
Thank you. Amen.
Have you considered a traffic light from Makulu and Highway 130?
The question is, have we considered a traffic light for Highway 130? We are considering that. This will be, as I mentioned, the portable traffic signals. They are on wheels, they use electricity. So we have a set. We can also borrow a set, I hope, from the State Department of Transportation. And that's the one that I mentioned, both red, yellow, green. Red, yellow, green, and we can also flash on red. Initially, maybe flashing red would be the best way to see if it works, and then red, yellow, green. So batteries are charged. Do we have batteries, or is it mini power?
Next question. Please consider those living on the dead-end roads off Makulu. And this comes up again and again. I'm bringing this specific question forward because it's already challenging to turn left from our streets and head up Makulu at busy times. Cars driving up and down. Will any traffic control measures be available to help people get in and out of those side streets, regardless of the barricade situation?
One of the signs that I'm thinking of putting up is "Live Alone." Let me also say that we will have an increased police presence when and if the alternate route is put into place, and that's why we have the police presence here tonight.
Thank you. Have any studies been done to estimate travel times and potential backups at a 20-mile-per-hour speed limit on the alternate routes?
Very good question. I don't think we did a study, but I think Tiffany looked at the bus routes and revised the schedules. Tiffany, would you be able to answer that in general terms?
Pass them off.
You know, I'm going to expert.
Warren was throwing under my own bus. Well, that's a challenging question. I've been trying to work out a schedule and coming up with different scenarios according to the alternate routes that Warren has prepared tonight. But we're kind of looking at allowing between, from, let's say, we have to do from Nanavale to Kahakai, we're looking at 20 minutes. And from Kahakai to Makulu, between 30 minutes and 45 minutes. It depends on the traffic and going 20 miles per hour. It really depends. So for those people who does utilize public transportation, patient with us until we get our schedule accurate. There may be some changes after we implement our bus routes.
We have a question while you're here, Tiffany, just since you're available. We've been told that Makulu will be the main route. Paradise turnoffs might be blocked. But the bus route shows that it will go through 17th from Paradise to Makulu. Will it be blocked from going through or not? That's not real clear. I think the question is, will some means be made available for the buses to get through where they need to get through and when they need to through the traffic patterns?
Well, the route that you just presented, that's our current route, and for us, we're going to maintain our routes, our current routes as much as possible. So I don't believe that that's going to be a problem. We'll still maintain that specific route through Paradise and Makulu.
Okay. That answers the question far more clearly than I posed, but thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you.
Next question. Railroad is due to be finished on September 24th. My understanding is that it will be blocked by a gate until such time as it is needed. How soon after completion will it be blocked?
Okay, compound question. First of all, railroad, we've had some difficulties. So the September 24th, which is going to slip a few days. The difficulties is the terrain, pretty hard to do up. Also, we had some equipment, working the equipment pretty hard, B10s, B11s, B9s, B8s. Almost everyone of those have had some mechanical failure, except County B8. County B8 continues to run since we started the project, but we have had equipment breakdown. So it looks like it will probably be about Wednesday of next week, which will be done. When the emergency access is open, will be the call of the mayor and the civil defense.
What kind of gate will it be?
What kind of gate? Initially, it's going to be rock gates. Big rock, long rock.
Okay, next question. In scenario 2 of your PowerPoint, Highway 130 is destroyed south of Kahakai, yet you show using railroad as the main route and not Kahakai itself, which is a paved route already maintained by the county. Can you clarify this?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure the scenario is. But Kahakai will be used for north or south as long as Highway 130 is not cut. If the bypass road and the village road is cut, I'm sorry, if just the village road is cut and not the bypass road, we still can use Kahakai. I'm not sure if that's a question, but that's the answer.
Thank you.
I hope that fits. Without having to go back to scenario 2.
Okay, next question. Will portable lighting be placed on intersections for safety? Makulu gets very congested. Well, this is a two-part question. I'm going to save the second part for when we get to the police department. So, first part, will there be lighting provided at any of these intersections?
We call it traffic lighting?
No, like street lighting. Like street lighting.
Oh. Usually, yeah, you don't have any lights now? Oh my goodness. Right now, we'll take a look at that, but I don't see anything in the plan for adding streetlights at the intersection, which is what we normally do. But maybe we'll put an extra reflective cone.
I just want to take a short interjection here. We're continuing to get a lot of questions about the dead-end access to Makulu and access across Makulu. I need to just be honest and tell you that this remains a work in progress. question doesn't get answered, it's because we're still trying to work out some system that is going to keep traffic where it needs to be and yet still allow you access. So please forgive me if your individual questions on that particular topic. As soon as something is known, it will be posted publicly and the arrangements will be discussed. But I'm sorry, I hope you can accept that for now. As a resident of HPP, I would like traffic unobstructed throughout our subdivision. Okay, this is another one. How are we going to ensure that HPP residents will be able to travel their roads without interference? Once again, this is the same subject. It's a work in progress.
I think that comes in under live aloha. In the law of physics, two particles cannot occupy the same space. So please, live aloha. Live aloha.
We have a number of questions here that mainly are focused on the same area. What dust control measures are going to be taken along Railroad from its entry into the subdivision to the point it joins Makuku?
Dust control measures? Okay, good question. Good question. This is just like painting the Golden Gate Bridge. Once the water truck goes down to LA and it turns around and comes back the other way. And looking at not only the beach road, but also the road.
Another concern closely related to that is the same area, which we knew all along was going to be a lot of real issues there. I live on 17th, and on Monday, September 15th, there was a non-stop big trucks going up and down the street. Why is 17th been used? Can we use water trucks there as well, or keep the trucks focused on one area? We have a lot of reports of the trucks, the service trucks, what have you, using different ways to get in there and creating, more traffic congestion and dust.
So just to make sure I understand, 17th is Makaya Railroad, right? No. So railroad is like this, and crooked road is like this, the 17th. Yeah, so what was probably happening is that they were using, because when I met with Jerry and his gang last week, they said that make sure that part of railroad in, part of railroad within HPP is not forgotten. So we started to do the trimming and we started to put down the base course. So that's why the trucks were using probably the other 17th, I guess. So most of it is done right now. I think the first block still needs to be watered and compacted. The second block is just about done.
We have several people who asked about speed bumps for Beach Road at the south end, as well as some other locations. The main focus seems to be people concerned about speeding on the beach, people coming from the subdivision.
And 17th.
Oh, and 17th as well. So we have
everybody on speed on.
Let's focus right now just on the two places where the emergency routes are coming in to the subdivision.
We can
Traffic calming, that's a concept I picked up in Scotland. They call it traffic calming over there.
I think once you get traffic on, especially beach roads, a lot of places it's only 10 feet wide, some places it's 15 feet wide. When you start to get traffic on two ways, I think, again, the law of physics would hopefully apply that two particles don't want to occupy the same space, and they will slow down, but we'll also make sure that, we've got adequate signage. And, speed limits usually, as last resort, hopefully people will obey the speed limit and be kind, courteous, and live aloha. But certainly it's not out of the realm. I'm not going to say we are going to put in speed on, but that is a traffic calming device there in this.
Thank you. Next question is a little bit different tack here. if this emergency alternate route continues for some time, months or years, who decides what is good or better condition for our roadway? If the flow eventually stops, well, that's the second part. Go ahead. The first thing is, we have received an assurance. I can answer part of this if you don't mind. We received an assurance that not only will Mabudu be maintained for the duration of this, but that it will be returned to us in as good or better condition. So we need, I just need what's the process or as far as determining this.
The process for determining the condition of food.
Yes.
Well, I think we know pretty much what the road looks like right now. I don't think we have video. Did we road view this? No, it's a project. But we can do that. But certainly it's possible, and the shoulders need work. We will do that.
This is a question that I think is a very pertinent one. And it's broader than just, someone mentioned this strictly in relation to PGV, the geothermal venture. If PGV has to suddenly close where they store thousands of gallons of pentane and other hazardous chemicals in containers, will they be transported? I'm just going to summarize this here over this. Will they be transported through evacuation roads and through HPP? Did I make that clearly?
Yes.
If there's any threat to the PGV plant from the eruption, it would close prior, and they would arrangements or solutions have been identified on how to move that fuel using the commercial truckers that are available in the community. It's possible that they will be using these same routes, but again, trying to move it at a time where it's not going to present additional hazards to the community as far as during rush hours, avoiding those types of times of travel to minimize the problems that they could encounter on the roadway.
The next question is, we have three very closely related, so I'm going to lump them together. If the lava reaches the ocean eventually, is chain freighters a viable option, and are we looking into that at this point?
Mayor says yes. Governor says yes.
Talking with them as recently as today.
Talking with them as recently as today about chain freighters in the event that the lava flow reaches the ocean.
Well, again, there's a lot of moving timelines here, right? I mean, we were 14, 16 days and 20 days. Brought that word very fluid. And I know there's a lot of frustration, but we're still dealing with 130 and opening up railroad and beach road. Minute 130 is breached. Just to let the geologists handle it. They're talking about a 2 to 3 degree slope from the main road to the ocean. And the current advancement, it depends on the flow, right? But the source is very powerful. We see 150 yards one day, 250, 350 yards yesterday to today. Talking 1,700 yards per mile. Of course, from Highway 130 to railroad fluctuates. We go from 3.6 miles to 4 to 6 miles. So it all depends directional and where it reaches. Once it reaches 130, we're going to start taking a position that it's just tiny before railroad and beach road at that point. We're not talking uphill, we're not talking other options become very limited. At that point, we'll be expediting an alternative route out of the We're working with the state, we're working with feds and national parks, we're working with our congressional delegation. Again, we come back to our priorities: access, power, water, communication. That's our priority. We'll move D9s, D8s, D10s, D11s, give them D12 there. Okay, well, you need it.
You're gonna sign a big
You make an emergency D12. No. But we'll take the equipment, the personnel, the wonderful professional team we have, and work very closely with our state federal partners to move that. We're not gonna stand around and debate it or discuss it. Right now, we're all working with our partners to collaboratively and cooperatively work this together. But certainly, we're talking 3 routes out of Lower Puna if the current flow reaches 130. There is no 4th, 5th route. Railroad, Beach Road, Shaded Craters Road. So that's our process.
Next question, and this is sort of a political question, but has there been any movement to dedicate Masuku to the county and turn over ownership to the county?
There is any move to dedicate a food to the council. I haven't heard of any.
At this point, I will add, I haven't heard of any official move. The next item is, will there be an alternate route for electricity if that gets cut along with 130?
Yeah. And HELCO is committed to providing and sustaining uninterrupted power as much as possible. So solutions that they've been looking at include the running of poles to Beach Road to then reconnect power from Okai up to Hawaiian Beaches on Conway. So they're working on, and then this is, Warren is identifying as many solutions and resolutions to this different scenarios. HELCO is doing the same thing. This is water, this is the healthcare providers. Everyone is looking at every possible scenario and coming up with a solution that can be implemented timely. Like I said, try to provide as much normalcy as we can to the area as far as like.
The next question, and we have had discussions with this on this topic already. It's definitely worth discussing a little bit more. Does the disaster declaration allow for granting of immunity to HPP in the event of accidents on our roads, which would incur lawsuits or other accidents?
Right now, based on the question that you raised on identification, we're having the attorneys at the council. They're looking at the proclamation that the governor signed and what comes with that emergency powers that based on the proclamation. And I think indemnification is in there, but we still need to get back to you.
Yeah, indemnification is definitely on the table, and the legal department of the county will look at it. Thank you. I've seen this mentioned online and elsewhere. Has anyone considered a ferry boat system in case the lava flows to the sea?
Yeah, that's being suggested, and one of the things is, we've been approached by some of the tour boat operators that we've been allowing tourists, that they're looking at trying to provide alternate transportation completely. So if you've been down, you know it's very limited in its infrastructure. It wouldn't be a fast, easy do to improve the facilities down there. But, it's amazing what solutions come out of the community with, like I said, these tour operators saying they're willing to try